So our collective American culture primes us to scan for big things. Trust me, I hail from the Lone Star State, where folks love to beam, everything is bigger in Texas. But what I want to share today is actually in praise of small things, small habits, small rules, small miracles, and small acts of kindness. Because it turns out that the collective impact of small stuff amounts to a lot. Speaking of Texas, one of my favorite graduation speeches was delivered nearly 10 years ago by Admiral William McRaven, Navy SEAL Special Operations Commander at his alma mater, the University of Texas. Commander McRaven distilled his training in the Navy SEALs into 10 lessons. Number 1, make your bed every morning. Are you listening, Solomon children? In his words, it will give you a small sense of pride, and it will encourage you to do another task and another and another. And by the end of the day, that one task completed will have turned into many tasks completed. Making your bed will also reinforce the fact that little things in life matter. And if by chance you have a miserable day, you will come home to a bed that is made by you. And a bed made gives you encouragement that tomorrow will be better. In highlighting this mundane, often overlooked task, McRaven stresses the importance of the little habits that go a long way in making a life. Maybe you can identify your own small habits or practices, which viewed from 30,000 feet make a huge difference. I love how a clean kitchen rises to greet me in the morning and inspires in me a sense of order. I notice how my meditation practice, even in tiny amounts, like 5 or 10 minutes, allows me to be more present with everyone and less reactive in my most challenging moments. I marvel at how running a couple miles a day adds up to over 1,000 miles a year. And I cherish how saying the Shema prayer twice a day centers me and gives me words to affirm the oneness of all being when I'm out of sorts and feel like the world doesn't make sense. This past year, I found myself a little less moved by the big things and more touched by the little ones. I began collecting all these wondrous small treasures and placing them in my pockets like little gems. And so I want to empty my pockets with you today to inspire us to walk away from Rosh Hashanah with the confidence that a little change and a little goodness over an extended period of time means everything. In the words of Rabbi Yisrael Salanter, who was the spiritual founder of the Musar movement, little by little, much will be gathered. And I would argue that Judaism is a spiritual path which enables us to train in paying attention to relatively small but profound stuff. Judaism is often criticized for being obsessed with minutia, but I would contend that small acts repeated again and again help create a life of meaning. Now, before I go any further, I want to take a moment to acknowledge that some people have a lot of trouble with small things. There are some in my own family. Remembering and staying consistent with the small things can be really hard. But a journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. And in case you need a visual image, I want to share a well-known midrash from our tradition about Rabbi Akiva, which makes this point. Rabbi Akiva was a leading sage and scholar from the 1st century, and he was referred to in the Talmud as the chief of the sages. But Rabbi Akiva came from very humble beginnings. He started off as an uneducated shepherd, 40 years old, and totally illiterate. It wasn't until he was well into adulthood that he even started studying Torah. And the Midrash describes that the moment Akiva realized that if he studied a little bit every day, he would come to know a lot. Rabbi Akiva noticed a beautiful stone, and he asked, who engraved it? They told him it was the water which drips on it every day. From that, Rabbi Akiva deduced, if something soft like water could chisel its way through something hard like stone, then surely the words of Torah can penetrate my heart. And after 12 years of study, our tradition teaches, he had over 12,000 students. How many things in our lives do we write off because we assume that our small steps won't ever amount to much? I'll never be able to read Hebrew. I'll never be able to change what or how I eat, shift careers, find love, repair a broken relationship, move my body regularly, grow and heal through therapy. You fill in the blank. And the same goes for social change. Who hasn't felt overwhelmed by the threat of climate change? Who hasn't found themselves despairing when we hear about repeated acts of gun violence? But Erica Chenoweth and Anya Gordon quoted this very recently in one of our Torah studies. Erica Chenoweth, a political scientist at Harvard, discovered what she calls the 3.5% rule. The 3.5% rule posits that no government can stand up to 3.5% of the population mobilizing against it. If 3.5% of us take a stand on a social issue, this is actually a strong predictor of change. Rabbi Akiva teaches us that it's never too late to start, and that change, whether it's personal or societal, begins with a single drop of water. Drop by drop, that water can change the shape of our lives. Slow and incremental change can, in fact, be the most impactful and transformative. And it's not only small habits that I've come to appreciate this year, but also small rules. Yes, even the seemingly obscure rules detailed in Jewish laws which govern how we carry out rituals. For example, we need only 10 people for a minyan so a mourner can recite Kaddish. This year I watched folks show up for Shiva Minyanim who didn't know the mourners. Their mere presence was enough to enable someone to mourn publicly. These good folks understood that the indescribable emptiness of loss is filled up slowly, one pebble at a time. Each email and card, every text and phone call, every expression of condolence uttered quietly slowly fills up the hollowed out void in a person's soul. Never underestimate the impact of showing up or uttering even a word of comfort. These are precious pebbles, holy stones of deep caring. Attending a minyan is far from the only Jewish law which reminds us that small gestures matter. What about how we shovel dirt into the grave as we lay a loved one to rest? We don't shovel the dirt like we would in our garden or yard. Rather, we're instructed to take the shovel and actually flip it on the opposite side, shovel a bit of dirt on the wrong side of the shovel, and only then do we turn the shovel over and proceed to fill the grave. With this small act, we demonstrate publicly our sadness and reluctance, and still we return our loved ones to the earth from which we've come. Same goes for cooking a meal for someone who's going through a rough patch. So you're not a professional chef. Who cares? I swear that when someone else makes my coffee, it tastes better. When you mix in caring and love, every recipe is enriched. I'm always touched when folks tell me about how much they love something that I made for them years later. And it's not because I'm such a great cook. It's because they felt and tasted the love. Proverbs teaches us, B'chol darcheha da'ehu. Know God in all your ways. Every mitzvah is a way to come close. We can sense this intimate connection when we do small mitzvahs, and we can sense it through small miracles, like the fact that we made it through this past year when it could have been otherwise, like the fact that we're all still sitting here praying and celebrating in Jewish community after countless historical events which could have been the end of the Jewish people, like the fact that we're here under this beautiful roof with air conditioning, clothes on our bodies, and shoes on our feet. 3 times a day, we're commanded and invited to recite the Amidah prayer. We've already said one this morning. And every Amidah ends with the same prayer of thanksgiving. Modim anachnu lach. Thankful are we. Va'al nisecha shebachol yom imanu va'al niflotecha v'tovotecha shebachol eit erev v'voker v'tzoraim, for all the little miracles that fill our existence, for all the wonders and the goodness which we can find in any moment, morning, noon, and night. Just think about all the little miracles that are in and around you now. And if you're struggling to name them, look no further than your beating heart, your breathing lungs, the muscles that allow you to swallow and blink, and the approximately 30 trillion cells in your body that most of the time know exactly what to do. And finally, I want to talk about small acts of kindness, especially in a post-pandemic world, which we are still reweaving. Every day presents itself with endless possibilities for kindness. If you don't know your neighbors, knock on the door, say hello, bring over dessert or fruit. If you're checking out at the grocery store, ask the cashier how their day is going. If you're not sure whether to attend a bris or a funeral, just go. And if you know someone is struggling, reach out with a text message or just offer to listen. As a rabbi, I am privileged to attend more funerals and more Shiva Minyanim than most. And here's what I can say for sure. When people share stories about their loved ones who've died, more than anything, they remember the small acts of love, generosity, and devotion. And they remember the details. Rabbi Lawrence Kushner wrote an exquisite poem which captures this message. Each lifetime is the pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. For some, there are more pieces. For others, the puzzle is more difficult to assemble. Some seem to be born with nearly a completed puzzle, and so it goes. Souls going this way and that, trying to assemble the myriad parts. But know this, no one has within themselves all the pieces to their puzzle. Like before the days when they used to seal jigsaw puzzles in cellophane, ensuring that all the pieces were there. Everyone carries with them at least one and probably many pieces to someone else's puzzle. Sometimes they know it, sometimes they don't. And when you present your piece, which is worthless to you, to another, whether you know it or not, whether they know it or not, you are a messenger from the Most High. And so I charge each of us, my Beth Meyer family, to go into this new year and do small things. Take the time to focus on getting the little things right. Create wholesome habits, because those small things will remind you that you can do another thing and another. Run after little mitzvahs that carry within them deep and enduring indigenous Jewish wisdom. Notice the miracles all around us that support and nourish and beautify our lives. And micromanage your ability to matter to someone else just a bit, and even especially when nobody else is looking. The small ways we demonstrate concern for each other are actually monumental. Our action steps and attention may begin with a drop of water on a hard stone, but over time they can carve out a mighty canyon. And let those of us, myself included, who think so often about the boulders of our lives and our world, and about the mountains we want to move. Instead, lift up the stunning little pebbles we collect from our acts of noticing and devotion. And never underestimate this community, the huge healing power of gathering those tiny stones together, you and me. We need each other in thousands of small ways. Shana Tova.